Hello all, good afternoon, good evening in whatever time zone you guys are. I'm Ankit and welcome to the Q&A session. Uh, just a bit of house rules before we start. This session is recorded. Please keep your microphones muted. Submit your question through the chat box. You'll find the chat box through the lower end of the options in your Zoom. You can submit questions there. You can type in your name and organization, where you're from, and the question. What we'll do is we'll read that question out after the end of the presentation, and we'll answer your questions. If there are follow-ups, we'll unmute you. Perhaps you can ask a follow-up of some kind, and then we'll answer the question as well. If it's not possible for us to, let's say, address your question for somehow, or you had a question later, you can actually follow up offline. You can email us or hit up on Twitter as well. So the agenda for the meeting is that we'll give you some basic information of the session, a small introduction of sorts, and then we'll have a Q&A session. And depending how that lasts, cap is 11 a.m. obviously. So to begin, we are the organizers. As you see that we are based in US, in Europe and Israel, and yeah, it's from diverse groups of systems chemistry. And we're helping in organizing the poster session that's throughout the talks and the student talks that are on 20th of May. And just to give an idea of the timeline of the event, so the program starts, all the times here are Eastern Standard Time, and the program actually starts on 18th, 11 a.m. The main talk is from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's faculty talks and such. The poster session actually starts at 11 a.m. on 18th. It goes on whole day and ends at the end of second day's session, which is 2:45 p.m. The time duration is shown here in green, and it's when it's night here, your posters would be up. There'll be comments on them still because perhaps some judges are on different time zones. So that would go on. By 2:45, the poster session would close, and we'll collate the results and we'll let you guys know who's the winner and such. You would have to give a talk on 20th in this time slot, which is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that is the rough format of the whole event. And just to walk you guys through the Twitter event especially, is that we would advise you to set up your Twitter profiles and switch the profile settings from private to public. This would help in much more public viewing, and people can interact with you much more easily in that sort. So while you are tweeting it, you have to tag the conference handle, which is at @syschem20. You also have to use this hashtag, which is #syschemposter. There is an additional hashtag that we will provide you that will depend on the subcategory of your poster. Now, if you remember, during registration, you had various categories to click through. You had to click through top 3 criteria that belong to your poster. So ideally, we would actually pick up the first preference that you had asked, but just in the interest of normalizing the participants through categories, you might still be designated to a category which was not your first preference, but that is perhaps fine. You would still have the similar crowd. It's just that a different kind of judge would be looking into your poster. So that is a point to be noted. And that sort of hashtag, we would let you know. Now, judging would be through the comments on your poster. Like, for example, on Twitter, you can engage socially with a post. That is obviously encouraged, but it's not counted towards judging criteria. And the broad guidelines for judging criteria will be up on the website. Please keep a lookout, and we'll let you know as well. And we will make sure that your posters are judged. And though we will keep an active eye on it, if you think that we've missed it by mistake, please let us know on Twitter or email us on the email ID here. But again, please be mindful of this time here. yeah, if you think, please let us know before this time that, if we missed the judging and such, so because we can collate it accordingly. So that is roughly the event. I just want to go through, I know that we've sent an email out with poster guidelines and some code of conduct rules. I just want to reiterate it again. Your poster will be actually uploaded as an image. So you need to convert it as a JPEG, PNG, or a GIF file, and then upload it on Twitter. The maximum size is 5 MB. So that is something you have to keep an eye out as well. Very high resolution stuff can be a Dropbox link or a Google Drive link that you can share if you want to, if you want to. Now, the recommended dimensions are 2:1 in landscape. That is when, without clicking the post, your poster will be clearly visible. Otherwise, there'll be some edges that will be cut. But then again, if you click on the poster, you'll see the complete poster. It's not that that part has gone anywhere. So ideal dimensions are those, but you can use standard dimensions of A4 and A0, but just be mindful of the fonts that you're using in those so that it's fairly visible. Another point is that you need to be mindful of the appropriate copyright permissions. If you're using images from journals, it's easy to get them mostly because this is a non-commercial use. So it's easy to get those copyright permissions from journals, but you need to have that. Another important point is that while using unpublished data, sometimes some journals do not allow, if let's say your prospective journal does not allow public viewing of data before accepting the manuscript, please be advisable of that. That is advisory for normal poster sessions as well, as in person-to-person ones. That is the same advisory as that. Other advice is that you have to be mindful of the data scooping issues. Like for example, in normal conferences, photography is not allowed and such. Here on Twitter, similar thing is we would advise you not to take screenshots and download a poster. However, this is something that we cannot control. So please be mindful of that. And if you think that your data is sensitive, please do not present that. And finally, the responsibility of the data that you show rests on you, the presenter. Additionally, and this is just a suggestion of sorts, that systems chemistry is actually a very diverse field. People come from on the edges of systems biology to hardcore chemistry. So a suggestion would be is to keep your posters very lucid so that the audience could understand it. It's a possibility that the judge who is critically looking at your poster might actually not be exactly from your field. So it is better to keep the posters lucid and make sure that more people understand your poster and such. So, and I know that I had shared a RSC poster link, and I just want to share as an example. So this was a link that was provided in the emails to you guys. And this is a link of the RSC poster event that happened. And they have these posters by winners there that are won. So you can go through these posters, and as you'll see, as you'll comb through these posters, you would realize that not all these posters are data heavy. They are just very easy to understand. And it is, in most cases, it's a single concept that has just been detailed in a very well manner. So I would sincerely advise you to actually go through these posters. And another thing that you could find out, apart from how to design a poster, is that what all supporting info you might need, how the interaction happens, how do you sort of maximize the reach of your poster. So that is something that is it's a good thing. So please go through that link as we are coming through. Another point I would like to share is we have resources for you specifically. So on our event website, there is this information for presenters. And apart from guidelines and rules of conduct, there are resources of how to create a Twitter account, how to attend a poster event. There's a blog by Stuart Cantrell, the same page that I showed you about 2020 RSC poster winners, that's shared here as well. you would actually see in some of these posters that these are animated posters. And we also have a quick guide how to make those animated posters. So that's here. You can also, how to report spam and such is here as well. You can navigate it, and all the video sources as a playlist is here if you would want to have a look at it. We also, as I was mentioning, that we've shared a blog from Stuart Cantrell as well. If that works for you, this is a very detailed blog on Twitter for beginners. So that might help you out as well. So going back to the presentation, so another point that I would like to mention is that we would keep a vigilant eye on spam and some abusive or spurious comments. But when you've uploaded your poster, since you would get a personal notification that somebody has replied to your poster, you can block and report the comments yourself. So below your poster, if there is a spurious comment, there is spurious advertising that you would not want, there is a inappropriate comment and such comments, you can block or report it by yourself. We would do it as well, but then again, how these things work is that if more people report it, that expedites the action. So it's better that you block and report, and then we will take action as well. Now, I mean, I know that this link was also sent to you through email, but then again, I would just want to read out the code of conduct for our conference. So organizers will not tolerate inappropriate behavior and online harassment of any kind. Comments that demean another person due to his or her gender, gender identity, or expression, race, religion, ethnicity, age, or disability will not be tolerated. Reviews of such allegations will be conducted on a case-by-case basis. Perpetrators can face temporary or permanent ban from the online symposium. Their Twitter or Zoom accounts or both will also be blocked and reported. Organizers always expect the participants to abide by this code during the symposium and the Twitter poster event. Failure in doing so shall result in a void registration and additional appropriate action. So on that note, questions?
Ankit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there are guidelines given for poster. Now likewise also guidelines given for presenters, like on the next day who are presenting, means the time for each talk and all this, all the details, because they have like half a day to prepare their presentation, the poster winners. So guidelines for those presenters, is it mentioned somewhere?
So guidelines for the talk is, for the presentation is just the standard presentation. There is nothing new in that. That is one. Second part is that obviously we cannot decide as of now who is going to present and such. So they have to be sort of ready with a rough deadline.
Yeah,
Rough
these
sort
are
of thing.
some of these details, like to
Yeah.
mention
Okay. So
somewhere, like yeah,
we will.
just to mention.
Sure. We will
Yeah.
upload that on the event page. We'll
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Perhaps we could upload information about how long the talks are going to be and things like that. That could give people a rough idea about
Yeah,
how.
they should have some idea so that they can
Fair enough.
prepare.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll have that uploaded.
Yeah.
If you guys have participants have questions, please type away in chat. And so, but yeah, Jay has asked, how long will the posters be judged for? We are actually planning for each poster to have 3 judges. That is our initial plan. If that sort of updates or no, we would let you know. We would want that these 3 judges to be able to judge them, and they, since they might be on different timelines, whenever do you upload it, just make sure that by 2:45 p.m. EST, by till then your poster is up, or it is still up till 2:45 p.m. So another point I would like to mention is that there is this temptation, if you got a critical comment, and since you don't have to print your posters now, what you could do, there is this temptation to delete the post and repost it again. We would not, I mean, we would advise you not to do that, just because if any social media interaction that has happened, that will not be recorded in there. So like, for example, if somebody has retweeted it, somebody has liked it, that will all go away. So since there is a temptation for it, I would not advise you to do it, because again, this will reduce your social media footprint. So that is part one. Another part is that critical comments are obviously part of any conference. However, yeah, you can judge your perhaps presentation or judge your poster before uploading, and then that'd be a better way to do it. Jay has also asked this: what did we interact with participants and judges outside of Twitter? Would that count towards the interaction? Uh, I mean, obviously, judges could be scientific experts in your field. So if you want to get suggestions and everything, please, you can interact with them outside Twitter. However, that would not count as interaction for the event. Because we need to have comments recorded and such, and for our housekeeping, so that we know that each poster has been judged, there has to be a judge's comment below the Twitter poster. So even though you've interacted outside Twitter, we would advise our judges as well to look at your poster on Twitter. So that is a housekeeping sort of rule. Ranjana asked that, is there any presentation on the poster, or only it is judged by saying? If I get your question correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, what I do is I just share the Twitter thing, and then perhaps that'll be better. So the point is that judging will be through the comments of Twitter. So they would ask you questions, and like, for example, in this poster here, people have asked questions here and they have replied accordingly. So that is where the judging is actually happened. So the presenting part that was done one-on-one is actually answering the questions on Twitter. That's the point here. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yogesh has asked, how will I answer judges' questions as well, maybe in a different time frame? So yes, so again, if the question is in a different time frame, for example, if that's night for you, you can ask questions later. It does not matter if you've, it does not count to us when you've answered it, as long as you've answered it. So we'll make sure that the judging is done so that there is enough time for you to answer it. We'll also make sure that, let's say, if a judge has asked a question and you have not been able to answer it, we will, until the deadline, we will reach out to you personally and such, and make sure that we get your response to that. So it is going to be slightly different from the one-on-one conference, but if you look at it, there are, Twitter parallels for any one-to-one interaction we do. So for example, any comments, like for example, if you would want to go see a poster as well, and you would want to get ask questions on the poster, you can do the same thing. You can comment on it, and guys can answer that as well. So it is, you can interact very freely on it. When in one-on-one things, when you like a poster, you tell them that, okay, your poster was good. You tell your friends about it. You can, similar way, you can like the poster as well here. You can retweet it if you'd like your friends to know about it as well. So that sort of thing can be done on Twitter. So that's fairly easy. So G has asked, what is the registration deadline? So as of now, what we've decided is that the registration deadline would be May 4th. And so May 4th, 12 noon EST, that is Eastern Standard Time. And please tell your friends about it. And if you've not registered, please do. That's another point. And that is something that can be done. Another point I would like to mention that sort of came across while interacting with some of the participants is that some of you have registered for the conference. However, later decided that, okay, you want to present a poster as well. So what we would advise you, and please tell your friends about it, and we would actually publicize it on social media as well if required, is that register again and click the appropriate options. So yeah, we will take care of the duplicates in that scenario. So if some of your friends have registered but not for a poster but want to now, that is the way to do it. You just re-register.
I'm sorry, could you remind me again what the time limit is for the registration?
So it's May 4th, 12 noon EST. We would put it on social media as well. This will be publicized. The point here is actually, perhaps I should share this technicality with you guys, because that is something that will come up, is that the Zoom session that we have, it's a license for 1,000 people. Since we are nearing that number, so we cannot go above 1,000. And that is why the deadline is so soon. So another point is that this particular session, since it's being recorded, will be put on relevant social media. You can still, obviously, if you have doubts later, because I suppose this was, we gave you a lot of information in a very short time. So what you could do is actually ask us on social media about it, and we would let you know. So Angela's asked, how should we obtain copyright permission? So yeah, if you are getting a permission for a figure on of a different paper, like for example, in some cases on an introduction sort of thing, you would want to show a relevant work done by a group and your group and such. So for that, you can go to that particular paper, and there is a copyright permissions thing that comes in most journals and on the side. Click on that, click that it's a non-commercial use, and most of the time that copyright thing is free. So you could get that license, and then after using that, so that license is for using as well as modification to the figure. So if you've modified the original figure, write it that modified and reproduced from so-and-so publication and such. So that's how that would go. That's for a publication that you are not author of. In most cases, in papers that you are an author of, you might have permission your own, but that again, that depends on the journal that you published in. Otherwise, the procedure is same. Go to the journal on the paper page, and then there'll be a copyright permissions tab here that would ask you also how many figures that you're taking in and such. So that could be done. Suggestion to this is that, and this sort of comes in if you're writing reviews as well, this is a free suggestion for if you're writing reviews later as well, is that sometimes, for example, journals like Science or Nature, they ask you money for a specific figure. Alternative way to do that is, if you want to show a same author's work, you can go to a different publication and get a similar figure, which does not cost you. Like for example, RSC, ACS, Wiley in most cases does not cost money. So that's how you could do it in some cases. Another point is that if you're actually an author of the same publication, you can modify your own figure, since you will have raw figures of the publication. So to modify your own figures slightly so that it is still a figure and there's no copyright infringement of some sort. So that could be easily done. There is a additional point that I would like to mention. Like say, for example, you need to use a figure of a different author, but people are asking money for it. If that is the thing, mail the authors. They would, if they can kindly oblige to give you a raw figure that you can modify. So that is another thing that I've used it sometimes for writing reviews, and that could be done as well. If just mail them, and if they can oblige you with a copy that you can then modify, that's good. That'll but you have to mention that this was kindly provided by so and so and such. So yeah, thank you, Angela. That was a necessary question, I suppose. Yeah. So if you guys don't have any further questions, we can perhaps wrap it up. And again, this video would be on relevant social media. You can always message us on Twitter or email us on nanoscience@gc.cuny.edu. Relevant information obviously is on our email, the ones that we sent. There's a confirmation email that will be sent to you soon, and a different email will be sent to poster presenters. I should say additional email will be sent to poster presenters with your relevant hashtag of your sub segment of your poster, so that on the tweet you have a brief description of your topic, you have the conference handle tagged, you have hashtag SysCamp poster tagged, and the subcategory tagged as well. The subcategory is important because then the relevant judge would judge you. In case you have missed it, and we know that obviously you've registered, so we would get you judged. That's not an issue, but judges might not be exactly from the subcategory that you are in. So that is something that you need to be mindful of. So if that will be that, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys are excited for the Twitter event as excited as we are. So yeah, see you guys there. Yeah, bye. Take care. Stay safe.